Alright, today I want to talk to you about the perfect base location. I think I've found one that I really feel attached to, and I want to go over what makes a good base location versus a bad base location, because a lot of people just set up in the base starting biome, and they don't look outside of that very much, so I wanted to talk about that. What is the perfect base location? Well, you're going to need plains, first off. I feel like plains is a very good end game biome to actually set up in. Plains, for instance, can allow you to plant barley and linen. There's a lot of flat land to actually build on, and it has the most dangerous mobs before the mistlands, so it's not the most difficult biome, but it's not exactly the easiest, so it brings at least some kind of challenge. The next thing I wanted to talk about is I want a sort of an island chain, because if you have that, you can actually just limit mob spawns completely, and in that area, it's sort of a safe space for yourself. But what kind of biomes are we looking for? Of course, we want plains. We want a place where it's either meadows or black forest. Meadows is much more preferable, and swamp is something I want to avoid because swamp takes a lot of resources, time, and effort to actually make livable. Yes, there are a lot of builds that look really good in the swamp, but overall you're going to want a meadows or black forest for that land that has easy to access resources, has a very flat sort of overall shape, which is why I suggest plains. Because it's flat, it's easy to build on, it's really nice. And I found two areas that I think are really good. This island chain and this other one. Yes, that's a little bit dumb, but one's more of a peninsula kind of thing with a few islands surrounding it, and it's mostly meadows, but I feel like this island chain is going to be a lot better late game due to how enclosed it is and how it's not too far from spawn, but it's not too close to it either, which is really useful when you want to make a base where people aren't going to really find it that easily. The only problem with this biome sort of layout on this island is that it has black forest and not meadows. I would have preferred meadows because that area has a lot less hilly terrain. If you've ever, wandered around enough meadows, you know that it can get not as hilly as a black forest. It seems like the black forest goes for more of a hill type of biome rather than a flat plain. And with all this in mind, let's go sail over to it. So, if you did not see last time, I just beat swamps. I have iron, I have fully upgraded all my stuff, I have my favorite weapon of all time, the sledgehammer, which is very good at AoE, and now that we have iron, we can get iron and stoneworking and iron wood to actually allow us to create larger, better, and bigger structures, because without it, you can't really make a lot of really interesting builds. I swear I cannot tell you the amount of times I have wanted stoneworking in this world, but now since we're finally at it, I feel really good. And this also gives us access to 99% of everything. I think the only things we don't have access to are Yggdrasil wood, a couple things in the mountains like crystal, and just black marble, which black marble is really more for accents on builds rather than builds themselves. Like, I want to make a black marble floor. Okay, yeah, but that's not the entirety of the build, and you can easily swap out the floor at basically any time, so it's going to be left off until a little bit later. I feel like right now is the perfect time to actually find and start cultivating my new base location. I will be using my village until I actually gain enough resources and I plan everything out beforehand, but for right now, I want to plan out and just completely level the place. I'm talking about a complete resource just amass here. And I think there's only 3 locations that are really going to be a problem. It's going to be this northern island and these 2 sorts of like fueling outposts. I don't know what you want to call them. With those in mind, I will be skipping mountains for now, as I don't really need anything from the mountains at this current moment. Yes, I could get onion soup, but onion soup is very nice, but deer soup plus turnip plus, some like basic sausage is going to get you through this game basically almost entirely until you hit the end game. And even then, it's going to require chicken eggs, which requires Yigglith to actually be beaten. So you're probably asking, why don't I go and actually beat the mountains? There's so much good stuff. There's silver, there's crystal. Well, iron both has enough damage output and enough defense to actually allow me to go further. Mining silver, in my opinion, in the current moment, would not be as enough. It doesn't give me enough to actually want to do it. So right now, I'm actually going to go further in the plains biome instead of the mountain biome. Yes, you do not have access to the artisanal table or the spinning wheel, but that's fine. We can easily just go pop in, see Mater, and just defeat her really quickly. I can easily get a Lox cape for the frost resistance missions, which I feel like would take a lot less time than me mining silver, defeating a ton of wolves. I have gone into the mountains and I have defeated a couple wolves, and I have found a silver vein, but that's not the focus of this video. I'm going to talk about why this is so perfect. For one, there's a black forest, so I already have access to tons of wood, and there's so many different little sorts of stone piles that I can easily mine up and gather for this. So with all that mined out, and I'm gonna let you take a look around what it actually looks like for this entire area just to be leveled. All right, with that out of the way, here's all of the resources placed into chests. Half of this is entirely wood, the other half is stone, and I think there's 2 chests that I just left open for like tin and the other random assortments of materials, and I have cleared out the Greydorf camp, whatever you want to call this tower thing, and I'm going to be working on the fuelings. But for right now, this is enough space to do whatever I want with it, and I want to build different districts. So if you didn't know, the main goal of this series is to create a huge city to where its districts are like laid out, and it actually feels like a real city where it's living and breathing, and it actually feels like it's an actual, city. So I want like a church district. I want like a food production district. I want like a castle area where it's just like, I just sit on my throne and look at the peasants and are like, yes, farm me more wheat. But then we're also going to need docks, different sorts of areas for storage and all that. And here's a map of the islands. And this is what I kind of want to go with. It's a map that I drew up in MS Paint in like 10 minutes, but it gives you the idea of more or less what I want from each island. So each island is going to be specialized in a specific area. The main one that we're on right now, I want this to be the sort of housing district. People have to have a place to live, and this is where most of the people are going to have. The northern island is mostly going to be the area where the castle is, and this is where a lot of like the market and stuff exists. To the south of us is going to be the food production area. There's like a few like smaller islands, and I feel like if you just break up those islands into a lot of smaller pieces, it will come out really, really well. So we'll have like an island for carrots and turnips, we'll have one for like onions, and then one for like barley and such. And the thing is, that's why I want a lot of plains, is because you can really, really focus on what do I want to produce in this specific area. So if you've enjoyed up to this point, you should probably subscribe, and I will see you next time.